Oh, what's up, nerds and geeks? My name is OMG WTF LOL FTW BRB. Welcome back to more Total Extreme Wrestling 2016. We are playing as the WWF in the year 2001, but more importantly, we are booking the invasion angle. I wanted to apologize beforehand. I am quite tired when I'm recording this. Work's been pretty hectic. I've been waking up so early in the mornings. I have insomnia. Long story short, I'm a little tired. Hopefully I'm not boring during this video. I don't know why I'm even telling you guys this. Let's just hope my energy stays up. I am very excited about this Raw, but before we get to Raw, we have a couple of things that happened off screen that I wanted to share with you. So off screen, and it's a new feature in Total Extreme Wrestling 2016, superstars can request pay raises, and you can opt to either not give them the raise. I think you can give them like 25, 50, 75, and then 100%. Lance Storm requested a pay raise. I'm not exactly sure what his raise or what his pay was before, but as standing right now, he is now making $11,390 a month. I didn't see much of a problem with it. I felt he was deserving. So, and we also go to a locker room incident where Scott Hudson, who is the announcer on Sunday Night Heat with Kevin Kelly, he was brought to wrestling court or wrestler's court for not picking up his part of the bar tab. Of course, Judge Rock found him guilty and sentenced him to buy drinks for everyone after the show. And I left this little note here, no reason why, but pretty much just stating that our locker room are a bunch of alcoholics because it always seems like they're always drinking. Or, you know, forcing people to buy their drinks. Either way, though, that's really all I have to say before this opening. So let's go ahead and run the show. I mentioned before that I'm actually pretty excited about this show. I think it's going to be really good, actually. So we have a B- to start off. This is the pre-show, by the way. We have two pre-show matches. A B- to start off the night, and a decent pre-show match. Big Show defeating Rikishi with the choke slam. Apparently there was not a lot of selling. But Big Show was a superior athlete. His B to Rikishi's C. No improvements. And then we go on to our other main event of the pre-show. Not our other main event, but our main event of the pre-show. Had some good, or not some, but had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Bradshaw and the Brothers of Destruction defeating William Regal and Test and Albert in 9 minutes and 31 seconds when The Undertaker defeated Regal with the last ride. And we also had Lance Storm running and attack Regal. So just a way to throw it in there, get him on. I wanted to do something with Regal and Lance Storm on the main show, but didn't have enough time. Taker, of course, was the superior in-ring athlete with an A overall, an A star, I should say, excuse me. Bradshaw and William Regal at a B-, Kane at a B+, and Test and Albert both at a C+. Regal is improving in performance, and Test is improving in Rumble, technical, and performance. A lot of improvements for Test. So we're heading off to the main show, and we start off the night with an A rating. Hell yeah. Raw starts off with the Rock making his way down to the ring. While, of course, commentary is putting over, the recent events that have happened between him and Diamond Dallas Page. Once in the ring, Rock takes the mic and he says, "Finally, The Rock has come back to the TD Garden," which is most likely in Boston. We're in Massachusetts, but come back from Massachusetts. Now, usually, when Raw rolls around, The Rock's in a good mood. But I'm sure we all know that in the recent weeks, there's been a thorn in the side of The Rock that is shaped like a diamond. Diamond Dallas Page seems to think he and The Rock are on the same level, just because he shares a nickname with The Rock. You see DDP for some reason, despite his reasoning to have our match at SummerSlam, he seems incapable of staying out of The Rock's match. We all saw what happened on Raw last week, not to mention Judgment Day, where if it wasn't for him, The Rock would have ended this war and he'd be the WCW champion right now. So DDP, The Rock is tired of waiting. Get your candy ass out here right now before The Rock goes back there and The Rock finds you and shoves his size 14 boot straight up your candy ass. Okay. And then Rock, of course, waits in the middle of the ring for a little bit, but instead of Diamond Dallas Page coming out, out comes Booker T, and he says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, hold on. Tell me I did not just hear that. Did you say that if it wasn't for Paige, that you be the WCW World Champion? Look, I'm man enough to admit that Paige had my back, but let's not get it twisted. You did not have me beat. Paige, Diamond Dallas Page has a personal beef with you. That's why he came out that night. Everybody knows Booker T had you beat." And then Rock responds, "Is that what you really think, Booker?" And Book says, "You're damn right," but before he can finish, Rock says, "It doesn't matter what you think, because the only thing that matters is that we will never know who really would have won that match because of DDP." But, Book, that just gave me an idea. Why don't you go one-on-one with the Great One tonight, and let's finish what we started at Judgment Day? And Book says, "Hell no, you lost your chance at the WCW title." And Rock goes, "The Rock did not say it had to be for the championship. You see, The Rock understands that he needs to re-earn a title shot. But if you really think you can beat The Rock, then fight me tonight. Or are you afraid that I'll embarrass you and show everyone that The Rock and even Chris Jericho is right when they say that you lucked your way into the main event scene?" That obviously angered Booker T. It triggered him. And Book says, Look, man, I'm a former four-time WCW champion. You want to get your ass beat so bad? You know what, Rock? You're on. I'll see you tonight, sucker." And that leads us to, well, doesn't lead us, but that sets up our main event of the night, a rematch from Judgment Day, The Rock versus Booker T. And, of course, The Rock playing up to Booker's ego by when he was saying, you're going to prove me right. But other than that, sets up our main event. It got the show off to a strong start, getting the crowd hotter. And The Rock and DDP storyline advanced and gained some heat. Cool. We move on to, wow, was not expecting a B-. Move on to our next match, opening match of the night, and a bout that had decent wrestling, but not much weighing heat. Dean Malenko defeating Jerry Lynn with the Texas Cloverleaf. Malenko had a B-, Lynn had a C. No skill improvements on here. I'm curious as to... Wow, not too bad. And then we go on to our next segment, which gets a C, too. Wow, I expected this to do a lot worse, to believe it or not. We go on to a C rating, as Dean Malenko, he's celebrating after his win, and he's hit from behind by Gregory Helms and the Cruiserweight Championship. And then Gregory Helms kind of just stands over Malenko, grabbing him by his head, showing, shoving the Cruiserweight title in his match, or not in his match, in his face. And he takes a mic and he says, "You want me and two of the best Cruiserweights at SummerSlam? Well, I dare you to find two other light heavyweights because I accept." And he just, throws and probably, just, holds the title in the air, something like that. And also the Malenko-Gregory Helms storyline gained some heat. Yeah, I'd imagine with a C. We then come back from commercial break with a C+. Matt and his brother Jeff are in the ring, and Matt comes out and he says, "Palumbo, O'Hare, you dare put your hands on my girlfriend? What kind of men are you? Attacking a defenseless woman after she was just in a grueling match, not to mention you ruined her moment after she won the Women's Championship. Now you may notice Lita isn't here tonight and probably won't be back until after SummerSlam due to the injuries she suffered at your guys' hands. But you'll notice that me and my brother, we're dressed to fight. And I don't care if it's a sanctioned match or a non-sanctioned match. I'm kicking one of your asses tonight, so who's it going to be?" This leads on to the Natural Born Thrillers music hitting, and all of them coming out, along with Stacy Keibler, who takes the mic and she says, "Oh, Matt, if anything, you should be thanking us, because now you and the rest of the world don't have to look at your trailer trash girlfriend anymore. But Matt, if you really want to fight so bad, then so be it. We'll send you to the hospital too so you can go be with your skank or whore," or some demeaning term. I couldn't fit anymore. It wouldn't let me write anymore. So Stacy calls her a mean slur, and then pretty much just goes on to Matt said, it leads to pretty much Stacy saying, "If you want to fight, you can face Chuck Palumbo," pretty much. And we go on to our next match, which will be Matt versus Chuck Palumbo. But first, the announcing quality lifted the segment. Angle got the crowd hotter as well. And the storyline advanced with also gaining some heat. So far, so good. We then go on to said match, Matt Hardy versus Chuck Palumbo. It gets a C, and a decent match, Matt and Chucky P drawing together in 8 minutes and 21 seconds after the match was descended in chaos after we saw Sean O'Haire and Jeff Hardy become involved in the match. So Chuck Palumbo was off his game, surprisingly. Stacy did some good work at ringside. Color gave the commentary boost. And Matt had a C+ performance while Chuck Palumbo had a C. And Chuck Palumbo's improving in Rumble. Not too shabby. We then move on to a C+. The match is over, but we have a brawl continuing. The Hardy Boys, they're battling Sean O'Haire and Chuck Palumbo, the Natural Born Thrillers. It's going back and forth before eventually we see some road agents and superstars come out, which I just chose it to be Sergeant Slaughter, Brooklyn Brawler, Michael Hayes, and Mick Foley. None of these guys were rated. They're all not rated, even Mick Foley. And that's about it. Just a simple pull-apart brawl as it gets a little bit more serious between these two teams. Apparently Sergeant Slaughter's not suited for his gimmick, but I really don't care. This also gained us more heat. Wow, awesome. Oh, wow. We go on to an A star. Hell yes. An A star. And we have Triple H and Stephanie. They're making their way down to the ring while, of course, Color, JR, and Jerry the King Lawler are putting over what happened in the past weeks between Austin and Triple H. Once in the ring, Triple H takes the mic and he says, "Austin, last week you caused my wife to go to the hospital after she suffered numerous injuries because of you." Maybe a little bit of an exaggeration there. "As you can see, my wife isn't 100%, but that hasn't stopped her from wanting revenge." Before he can continue going on, Austin's music interrupts Triple H, and he heads out to the entranceway, and he's laughing hysterically like that fake Austin laugh he used to do all the time, and he says, "What I did? Triple H, you're as dumb as you look. If I remember correctly, it was because you bumped into her after sending her off the apron and onto the cold, hard concrete. If anything, she should be mad at you, but you got old Stone Cold curious. Now, I heard you say revenge. What kind of revenge?" God, I have hiccups, I'm sorry. "What kind of revenge does Stephanie McMahon have up her sleeve? You gonna go tell Daddy on old Stone Cold?" Triple H says, "Shut up. Don't you talk to my wife that way." Austin goes, "What? You heard me. What? Don't you start with that. What? Triple H, shut up. And tell me what your idea of revenge is." And then Triple H responds, as soon as I pull this up and get rid of all this stuff. And he says, "Austin, I'm glad you asked, actually. Seeing how we're both married men, my wife came up with the brilliant idea of having a mixed tag team match with me and her facing you and your wife." And then Austin responds, "Well, you know, Deborah isn't much of a wrestler, but then again, neither are you, Triple H. So I'll tell you what. It's a double date. We'll see you two in the ring tonight." And then I just imagine, Austin's music hitting as he walks to the back. And the announcers put over that later on tonight we will see a mixed tag match featuring Triple H and Stephanie versus Austin and Deborah. Apparently, the announcing job by both Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler was pretty weak. That's interesting. And Triple H invented a new catchphrase that will likely boost his ability on the microphone. Oh, now I got to think of a catchphrase for him to say. I don't know. Shut up, don't talk to my wife that way? Maybe that's what we'll go with. I have no idea. Either way, that surprises me. Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross weren't as good. Triple H came across as well. Austin was fantastic, and it also gained some heat for this storyline. And Stephanie's developing better in performance. That's awesome. Wow, holy crap. We then go to an A rating. Was not expecting this. An A rating as Kurt Angle makes his way down to the ring while the commentators hype up Kurt Angle winning the U.S. Championship and also his recent U.S. Open challenge he's promised to do. Once in the ring, Angle does take the mic and he says, "Last week on SmackDown, I told the world that I was going to make this championship represent this great country in the right way. I promised to make this championship the title of opportunity. And I meant every word that I said, unlike a certain Canadian I know that holds a ransom over his title and refuses to defend it against worthy challengers. Oh, it's true. It's damn true. Let's not waste any more time and let's start with the Kurt Angle Open Invitational right here, right now. Who wants to face the champ?" And then Edge's music hits as he makes his way towards the ring and he says, "Kurt, as your friend, I hope you don't get offended by me coming out here and accepting your challenge." And Kurt just goes, "No, not at all." And he says, "I also hope you don't get offended when I say that, you're starting to sound like an over-obsessed girlfriend, man. I mean, with this whole Benoit thing, and you know what? Either way, Kurt, that's not what I'm out here for. I want that championship, and I'm accepting the Kurt Angle Open Invitational. And I'd imagine, the two shake hands because they are friends. And we go on to our match. Apparently, Edge worked the crowd well and used his freedom to improvise. I had Kurt Angle, of course, hates going on script, so I decided to give Edge a chance, see if he improvised well, and he got an A. That's a pretty good, eh? We then go on to said match, which it's a B. Hell yes. In a B match here, we had a bout that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Kurt Angle defeating Edge with an Angle Slam, making his second defense of the United States Championship. Kurt Angle foreshadowed a face turn. Okay, I actually forgot about that. And Kurt had a in-ring performance of a B+, while Edge was at a B-. No worker improvements, though. We then go to, after the match, we go to a B. And Kurt takes the mic and he says, Benoit! Hey, Benoit! I know you're back there. Did you see that? Did you see me once again proving that I'm better than you in every single way? I'm a fighting champion. I'm a patriot. I'm a freaking Olympic gold medalist. And you're just the Intercontinental Champion. So, Benoit, are you going to accept my challenge or not? Benoit's music hits, and once again he makes his way out to the entrance ring and he says, Kurt, didn't we already have this discussion on SmackDown? I don't give a damn about your WCW US title. I don't give a damn about your patriotism. And I sure as hell don't give a damn about those gold medals around your neck. The only thing I care about, and he holds up the Intercontinental Championship and he says, this. And no matter how much you sugarcoat it, Kurt, I've already proven I'm better than you. I've beaten you. And then Angle says, well, Kurt, not Kurt, Chris, I was hoping to do this the easy way, but if that gap between your teeth is any indication, you always like to do things the hard way. And right when he says the hard way, out comes Ric Flair with, I don't know exactly what it would be. My buddy Chris said a steel pipe, so let's go with the steel pipe. Comes out with the steel pipe, and he just decks Chris Benoit on the back of the head with the steel pipe. And Kurt Angle says, I don't know, I couldn't finish it again. It's one of those things, and I was practically done. Pretty much, Ric Flair takes out Chris Benoit for Kurt Angle, and if you remember from SmackDown, Flair had a proposition for Angle, so this could be a hint at something, right? And also, this did get the Angle-Benoit feud a little bit better heat, or more heat, I should say. Benoit is also developing better in performance skills, so that's awesome. Wow. We then go to another A. Kurt Angle's killing it, nerds and geeks. Another A, back from commercial break. Angle and Flair, they walk into the interview room. Flair takes a mic from Kevin Kelly, and Kurt just pushes him out of the picture. And Flair says, look here, everybody. Come here, cameraman. And he says, look at that. And the camera, he makes the cameraman point down at the United States Championship. He goes, would you look at that? That right there, that's the champ. That's the Olympic gold medalist. That is the future nature boy. Woo! And that right there is my new client. I told you, Vinny. I told you last week that this was the beginning of the end. And this right here, this is just a sign. One of your top talents is styling and profiling with the man now. Woo! And under my tutelage, baby, I'm taking him to the top. And then Kurt takes the mic from Flair and he says, Mr. McMahon, I'm sorry, but you should learn to appreciate your talent when you see it. The partnership of Kurt Angle and Ric Flair will be the best thing in wrestling today and the best thing in wrestling ever. Oh, it's true. It's damn true. And Kurt Angle did a masterful job at improvising. We also had Flair improvising here. So this right here is a big deal, nerds and geeks. Kurt Angle has aligned himself with Ric Flair, thus turning his back on the WWF and aligning himself with WCW. Flair got in the head of Angle. We then go on to a B. Austin and Deborah are already in the ring. They're awaiting their opponents. But once, Triple H and Stephanie come out, Stephanie takes the mic and she says, I wanted nothing more than to come out here and smack that stupid smile off your face, Austin. But unfortunately, after having a checkup meeting with the doc before the match, I was informed that due to my injuries suffered at the hands of Stone Cold, that I wouldn't be able to compete tonight. But the show must go on, so allow me to introduce my replacement and my husband's tag team partner, Trish Stratus. And out comes Stratus, And it is now changed from Austin and Deborah versus Triple H and McMahon to Austin and Deborah versus Triple H and Stratus. Triple H was the real star in this segment. Stratus looked lost. I know some of you may be like, why would you go with Trish Stratus? Her and Stephanie hated each other. Yes and no. Not really at this time. They didn't really hate each other. The reason I went with Trish is mostly because Stephanie is exclusively a manager only in her contract, so I can't make her a wrestler or wrestle. And given that Stephanie had Stephanie and Triple H kind of have been, not kind of have, but they worked with TNA in the past. This kind of just, throws back to that a little bit right there as well. So we go on to the match. Wow, holy crap, wow. I would have never have expected this to get a B, but I'll take it. A B rating. This was, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this, but the Matt Hardy-Chuck Palumbo match was our Wild Brawl match of the night, and this is the storytelling match of the night because, well, Deborah is not technically a wrestler, she's a manager, so I was worried about that. Either way, in a decent match, Triple H and Trish Stratus defeating Stone Cold and Deborah when Trish defeated Deborah with the Stratus faction after a distraction from Stephanie. Deborah, of course, was the weak link in this match, but that's to be expected. So basically, the way I'd imagine it ending is Deborah gets a little distracted by Stephanie, which then, just leads to Stratus and the Stratus faction. Triple H and Austin are obviously brawling, which allows Trish to get the victory over Deborah. Look at this. Deborah was barely able to compete in the match due to exhaustion. Okay. Stone Cold shown in the match. Triple H stood out as being good. So Trish was at a C-, Triple H was at an A, Deborah was at an E+, and Austin was at an A star. Unfortunately, this match did lose this feud some heat, but we can earn that back easily. Austin is also improving in performance. That's pretty cool. I think Deborah needs to be booked a little. She won't be booked in another match again. We go to a B+, and we see Rock getting ready for his upcoming match when he's approached by Jericho, and Chris says, hey, I saw tonight that you're taking on the spawn of Whoopi Goldberg. And I just wanted to say that despite our history, I have your back tonight. And The Rock stands up and he goes, oh, do you? Because the last time Rock checked, he didn't ask for your help, Chris Jericho. And he damn sure doesn't need your help, Chris Jericho. And then Jericho goes, look, man, don't be stupid. You and I both know DDP will most likely get involved in this match, not to mention any of the other WCW guys. And Rock's, he puts his hand, just like kind of like when he would put his hand in people's face and say, just bring it. He doesn't say just bring it here. He just puts the hand in his face to make him shut up. And he goes, you think The Rock doesn't know that Diamond Dallas Page will get involved? Hell, that's what The Rock is hoping for. You know what, Jericho? Instead of having The Rock's back tonight, how about instead you sit down and you watch this match, and hell, you might even learn a thing or two from The Rock. And then he just walks off, as I'd imagine the camera pans on Jericho, and he just looks kind of pissed, like, fuck you, Rock. Pissed. He offered help, and that's what he gets. Rock came across well, as did Chris Jericho. A little disappointed to see this got a B+, but we got a lot of A's tonight, so I'm not too mad about it. We move on to our main event, which gets a B+. That's, again, I guess it's not too bad, but I would have preferred an A again. We've got a B+ here in an exceptional match. The Rock defeating Booker T in 11 minutes and 40 seconds when Booker T was disqualified after DDP ran in and attacked The Rock. DDP was on commentary for this match, so that also could have affected this a little bit, but it doesn't say anything bad. In fact, it says the announcing quality lifted the performance, so I don't know if that did anything. But the way I'd imagine this ending is Rock probably setting up for the People's Elbow, and then Diamond Dallas Page slides in the ring as Rock bounces out the rope and hits the Diamond Cutter, pretty much saving Booker T from the feet. And then I'd imagine DDP kind of, getting Booker T up to his feet after the match is over for what obviously is going to happen next. They're going to beat down on The Rock. Rock had an A star, Booker T with a B+. No worker improvements. So we go to our not our main event, but our closing segment gets us an A. That's a pretty good, yeah. An A. I'm in love with that. The match is over, but we have the beatdown continuing as WCW's Diamond Dallas Page and Booker T look to send the message to the WWF by injuring The Rock. But before they can do any serious damage, Chris Jericho, as he said, I have your back even if you don't really want it. Chris Jericho rushes down to the ring with a steel chair in hand, probably the chair he was sitting in. And he chases the two off before they can do any serious damage. Monday Night Raw ends with Rock and Jericho staring down DDP and Booker T as they retreat to the crowd. And the performance of Chris Jericho was good. Also gained heat for both Booker T and Jericho and Rock and DDP. No worker improvements, though. We end the show. Yes! Holy shit. I think that's our first A rating. I knew this Raw was going to be good, but that's a pretty good, yeah? Increasing our popularity in 18 regions, we get an A. Hell yes. Super happy with that. And we even get to see Bret Hart, even though Bret Hart hates us. So look at this. Top news, whatever, top headline, that's what it is. Viewers have been awesome, and the show is getting fantastic reviews. What do we got? Oh, look, Mark Jindrak has returned to the company, everybody, from his suspension. Why is it not bringing him up? There it goes. From his suspension, remember, everybody? Because he did steroids, even though I freaking was going to give him a big push because he became the protege of The Undertaker. Maybe you learned your lesson. And everything seems good. All the wrestlers seem to be pretty good on the whole drug thing. No one's messing up there. Let's go ahead and do an auto push. Let's see where it puts Mark Jindrak since he's been gone. Lower mid-carder. Sucks for him. Either way, let's check out some storylines before we end off this episode. So that's at a C, but we didn't do anything with it anyway. That's at a B. Why is Booker... Oh, we gotta... Damn it. Gotta give Booker some momentum. This is at a D still, surprisingly. I thought this would have gone up. C+, C, at a B, C+. We haven't done anything with that in a while. B+, B+. Wow. I was expecting at least one of them to have an A. It's a little bit of disappointment there. Either way, Nerds and Geeks, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. If you have, do me a favor. Leave me a comment, like, and subscribe if you have not already. As always, my name's been OMG, WTF, LOL, FTWBRB. And don't forget to share this video with your friends, Facebook and Twitter. It certainly helps out the channel and gets us more viewership. Other than that, though, I don't have much else to say, so I'll see you guys for Friday Night SmackDown. Or should I say Thursday Night SmackDown, excuse me. So until then, have a wonderful day, Nerds and Geeks. See you then.